Hello, 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 hello. I am going to give this a moment because today, I am going live. I am going live on TikTok. Hello, Win. Hello, Mikhail 916. Welcome. I am going live on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Substack. Hey, y'all. So I'm going to try and just be available. Um, I'm getting a little nervous. My podcast dropped yesterday of me sharing part of the story. And I'm good. Y'all. I'm good. But I wanted to be able to answer questions of people who may have experienced, who were afraid to share or talk about it. And let me be clear, I did tell a few people when it happened. While it was happening, I actually was on the phone with my daughter. And thank you guys for joining. Wow, I wasn't on the phone with her when I actually got drugged, but as the situation was escalating, I was on the phone with my daughter, who is a registered nurse, and she was able to talk to me and kind of support me through getting myself safe from the people that I was with. And then I later got to even more safety because the area that I was in was really an area that this couple is very familiar with. They, actually live there at some point, and I wanted to remove myself from that space. So I was able to get away from there. Thank you for joining, Jacqueline. Come on, Keish, Mark and Crop, Mario. Tiffany, thank you for joining. Brittany Murphy, Tony Talks. So I wanted to just share some kind of what I'm doing all month. Is, trauma after being drugged can cause PTSD symptoms, like hypervigilance, anxiety, and really distrust. I think probably was one of the biggest things that I experienced, the anxiety and the distrust. One, because I feel like I went through a period of thank you for joining, Ray Zornino. I went through a period of I think shock, right? Disbelief, like, how did this happen to me? Like, so many things were going through my mind. And I think for several months, I was like really trying to process what had happened. And during that time, I had been saying, like, I made this video the day that I got back, And I'm going to wait for a few more people to join before I kind of get into more of the details. But I made this video upon my return um, of me like actually, showing the urine in the cup, doing the drug test. Because in my mind, I was like, I got to be able to prove this. But what I realized in this process, in this journey, since May 18th of 2024, is that I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Like, I know what happened to me. So, I, was doing all those things when I got back, and I was just like in shock. Couldn't believe that something like this could happen to me. And not like I'm better or whatever from anybody, but it was just like, how did this happen? Why did this happen? So many things were running through my mind. So it really was a very trying time. And I mentioned in the podcast, that thanks for joining, Gwen Stanley, Kate Brennan, Chicano Billy. I, was just trying to process it all. And I believe that everything that happens to us, and people who know me and follow me have heard me say it's either a lesson, a blessing, or both. And if I'm being honest, I'm still trying to figure out what the lesson was. I think that I did have some clarity around friendship, what I was seeking in friendship, how people can play on your insecurities and play on your naivety and play on your kindness, prey on what they may feel is a weakness. So there were so many, things again that was going through my head that I was trying to figure out, as the days and months, were carrying on. And it was a struggle. I feel like in some ways it's still a struggle, because as I got on this thing, like my heart was racing. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to really talk more about this experience that I had. So as I, started this conversation, I really want to have a conversation. I really want to have dialogue on these platforms. This is something that I am really, offering transparency and full vulnerability as it relates to the experience. So I'm definitely open to answer questions that people may have. Okay, come on, Substack. So let me see. I'm going back and forth. Hey, Caitlin. Hello, the Ryan Sherman on spotting on the spotting team. Thank you guys for joining. So, as I was saying, I'm really wanting to educate people a little bit about, being drugged and some of the things that I did, some of the steps that I took while I was there. And then, of course, give you guys some takeaways about it. Again, I'm always wanting to educate. Like, I want to, make sure people have the information, but also about this experience that happened to me. So when I talk about the distrust and the anxiety, I'll go a little bit into that. And I think the anxiety, or I should say, I feel like the anxiety that I had around the experience was more about how do I move forward and continue to, go about my days and still be able to work and do all of these things. And sometimes there would be these periods where I just needed a moment. Like I spent some time, which I do spend a lot of time with self. But I really, really got into my journaling even more than I do, really got into sitting in meditation, sitting quietly, sitting still, working out, between Pilates and Peloton and walking, really focused on, eating right and doing all of those things, because it really was, kind of me reminding myself who I was. Like, I'm still Clarendria, still me. Um, and I should share for those who don't know, my name is Clarendria Addison. I am a licensed professional counselor, author, podcast host, and often share, tips on mindfulness, healing, and this journey that I've been on. And part of the journey that have been on didn't have anything to do with being drugged. It had to do with, me being a survivor of many things. And I'm not going to go into that. You guys are going to have to go watch the podcast on YouTube, on Shift Chats, to see that. But really, kind of as I was sharing those experiences, in the midst of me feeling, very empowered, feeling very like, I got this, like I can, talk about my book, and tell people kind of what I have going on in my life. It came to a halt. And I think that sometimes we have experiences that are either going to break us or push us to the next level. And I definitely feel like this experience tried to break me, but it definitely pushed me to the next level, because one, I was already, being more vocal, being more present on social media, sharing information. And if you ask, okay, that happened May 18, 2024, it's about to be May 18th again. It really was God's timing. Like, the podcast, being pre-recorded, as people know, I typically put out a podcast once a month. Season 2, last episode aired yesterday. But I had recorded that several months ago, not really knowing when it was going to air. And because of other recordings and different things that had went on, it was like, okay, May, Mental Health Month, I can share this information. I can do a series on Wednesdays at 7. So it all kind of aligned. And one of my affirmations I say daily, since I started reading The Creator's Way, is I attract and I am aligned with powerful rooms and purposeful conversations. And that has been one of my affirmations. So it's kind of like that everything was flowing, and it just made sense. And then with it coming out yesterday, I got so many, positive responses from people, so many people, reaching out, thanking me for, being vulnerable, sharing their stories of being drugged by friends. So it really, I think, opened up, this opportunity to have conversation. And then we have, this trial going on with Cassie, being on stage sharing her story. And I think sometimes, people are quick to judge. People are quick to be like, well, how did they let that happen? Or what were you doing? Or why were you smoking weed? Or, and I think one of the things that we have to stop doing, and that's just generally, is to stop judging people. Write that down, because it's very important. We have to stop being the judge. And I always say that, like, I'm not the judge. I don't know who the person was, and hopefully they, may get tagged in this, or I want to make sure that they get their credit. When they said, we listen and we don't judge. That is a real thing. Especially, me as a therapist. So I have often been able to kind of, be unbiased and see things from a bunch of different perspectives. That is actually one of my innate traits that I have, being how I was, lined up with the moon and the stars. So I can be devil's advocate, or I can, press people to, really dig deep within themselves to figure out like what it is that they have going on, or what's the situation that's causing whatever it is that's happening. So in this instance, what I am charging, community with is to not judge, right? We have to meet people where they are, be willing to hear them, and hear their circumstances. A friend of mine's got on social media earlier today and did a live, sharing kind of her thoughts on you know how people are, quick to judge, quick to, have an opinion about something, and not really know. Like, we don't know, all of Cassie's story. We don't know all of Diddy's story. We do know that both of them had some experiences in their lives. And again, it's not to make an excuse for what occurred and what happened, but it is to offer, I think, some understanding around where these things stem from. Right. So even in the case when I speak of, the couple that attempted to, I was drugged. I can't say what they were planning to do. I know what my spirit was telling me was about to happen, because I didn't choose that. And, I clearly said that, in the podcast, that, it's a difference from someone willingly, saying, hey, you got some regular weed, you got a joint or a blunt or whatever you want to call it. And, I'm taking a hit of that because I'm under the impression that it's weed, marijuana, THC, and later find out that there were other things in it, which means that it was laced without my knowledge. And that is where the ball dropped. That is where, I was blindsided, honestly. um and it was a really, really, really hard thing to experience. One, because I had to call my daughter, because it was like one of the only people that I could reach at that time, and then I thought that could help me through this process. But nobody should have to call their child to get them out of a crisis. And I'm laughing, honestly, to keep from crying, because it is really a very sad experience that I had. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. Um, so I feel like I want to start off, because I feel like I've just been talking. Definitely open to if anyone has questions about the experience. Definitely just put them in the comments. I will answer them if they're appropriate. um, Recently I was on here, somebody said something, I almost read what they said, and I was like, wait a minute. So there are creepy creepers everywhere. But one of the things I want, okay, I don't know. Okay, so I think TikTok has restricted me, I think because I said the word. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So we'll see if they cut me off. It'll be what it is. But I have these other platforms going, and I actually was gonna like do some research about, if I say this or that. So I don't know how that all works, but I do know that hopefully this will be able to be shared, and I am going to save it and put it up on my YouTube. So one of the takeaways that I want everybody to remember is that recovery involves validating your experience, right? Seeking trauma-informed support and restoring body trust. So I feel like I was able to do that. At the time that I returned, I actually was in another program and had a coach, because I'm always working on like being a better person. So I encourage people, find you a coach, find you a therapist, find you a mentor, all the things. I've done posts about that and all. So you definitely want to be finding someone that you can talk to And so I was working with a coach at the time, so it kind of worked out because I was able to share the experience with my coach and be validated in what I had gone through. I did not seek therapy because I felt that I had enough tools to work through the experience in the way that I knew how, and I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that. I didn't go into any, mind altering things. I didn't, you know, drink more alcohol or get into drugs or anything of that nature. I really just continued to focus on myself, and that was the way that I handled the experience. What I will say is that for others that have gone through the experience and you're thinking, should I talk to a therapist or should I tell someone? You absolutely should. I am always encouraging people to do what works for them, right? And I did what worked for me. So I was able to have the experience validated by the few people that I chose to tell. And, they have continued to support me through that. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. Um, so that was the first takeaway. Uh, let me see. I wanted to have this go across the bottom. Oh, wait a minute, y'all. And so my next takeaway is that you are not what happened to you. You are the survivor and the healer. So, because I do this in my work daily, I think although it was challenging, um, I knew that I wasn't what happened to me. I knew that, I didn't necessarily choose that. I think I was a victim of, circumstance and environment. And if I'm being honest, I think that the people that was with um, preyed right on me, and I talked about that a little earlier. Um, and I think it was about timing. I think, and these are all the thoughts that I had in my head that I'm sharing with you guys. That I think it was about timing, and I believe that I'm probably not the first person that this happened to. Um, and I think, more people will, potentially come out and say something or not. And either way, I'm okay with that. But I know it definitely was put on me, and it took me this time in this last year, to put it out there. I am not saying the names of these people just because you know I get to choose, and I think saying their names really gives them some power that I don't think that they deserve. And um I think that you know for those who don't know me, who just follow me or are just watching, will maybe try to figure things out or whatever. um and that's just going to be what it is. But early on, I felt that I was not going to share with them. If I'm being honest, I did not even let them know that I knew what had been done to me. And I really kind of was waiting for all of this to come out for me to send a final message. When it happened, they reached out to me one time a few hours later, which was another, weird part of the scenario. Then they started reaching out to other people that we, mutually had in common. Those people started like, it was really just like if you haven't done anything, why are you reaching out to all these additional people, getting them involved and all of that? And why were you so worried? Why were you so worried about my status? If you didn't do anything wrong. So, oh, thank you. No questions. Yeah, TikTok tried to ban. Look, can I say other people? Can I say the other medias on this media? Hold on one second, y'all. Okay. I wanted to hold on. Okay. I wanted to make that a banner so I can add some other. Oh, wait a minute. Where did it go? Okay, there we go. Okay, I am going to give you guys an affirmation. I'm going to give you guys a journal prompt that I used, but I wanted to go over the takeaways. Recovery involves validating your experience, seeking trauma-informed support, and restoring body trust. You are not what happened to you, and you are the survivor and the healer. And I feel like I'm missing a message. So let me put up the affirmation. I am reclaiming my power, my peace, and my trust in myself. I am. I actually talked about that earlier too, about reclaiming your power. So one of the things that I want people to make sure that they take away, that you are not your circumstances. You are not defined by, excuse me. You are not defined by an experience that happens to you. That you do have to do the work, right, to figure out how to move forward. And sometimes that is not cute. Sometimes it requires, I'm not going to say sometimes, it really does require real, very intentional practices and work as you're going on that journey. Excuse me. You guys want to take a screenshot of that? So I'll leave it up for a second. I'm so excited to be on Substack. Thank you guys for joining on Substack. If you don't follow my Substack, it is Shift Healing from Scratch. Journal prompt: what practices help me feel safe, grounded, and back in my body? And I say back in my body because, for some, it can be an outer body experience. Like when people, talk about, essay and different things that have happened to them, sometimes you shut those things out, and they don't kind of come back up until something happens. That's called a trigger. When you experience something and you kind of block it out, and then it comes back up in some other form or some other experience. So getting back into body, again, meditation, mindfulness, sitting still, just taking care of yourself in general, eating right, exercising, meditating, praying. I am a believer. I do not force that on people. I feel like my gift of sharing and what I do should be an example. I know someone that I followed today posted about, sometimes the Christian folks are the ones that are the most messy. And I've had those experiences as well. So again, what I'm always saying is you have to do what is right for you. I am a spiritual being, so I am in the practice of intentionally, being kind, helping people, being thoughtful, wanting people to grow, being excited for people's growth, supporting, businesses and things of that nature. So, what practices help me feel safe and grounded? That's your journal prompt. I was just giving you an example. You see. Hello, guys. Thanks for joining. So let me just say, and I'm going to open the floor. I'm hoping some people will ask questions. But being drugged is a profound betrayal. And healing asks us to not rush, but to rebuild self-trust with patience, love, and practices that work for you. So for me, this last year, and I mentioned this in the podcast, I really had kind of blocked it out until I started to, get into my meditating and practice and journaling and realize that this was still, kind of lingering and bothering me. And when I really started to, acknowledge and be present in that experience, I was able to accept it and then, begin the practices to move on. And I still feel like when I talk about healing and I'm referring to this specific experience, there is really no time frame, and that has to do with anything. But for this particular experience, I feel like I'm on the other side of what happened to me. I feel like talking about it, hopefully will help someone else who, had the experience, didn't share, was afraid to share, or, felt embarrassed or felt shame or whatever the things, because we have a right to feel all of those things. And then we have to figure out the practice of what we need to do to feel better. Thank you. Yes. Hello, Erica. Thank you, guys. I really be liking all of the the YouTube, the TikTok, the Substack, the Instagram. So I was live on 4 platforms today, y'all. I am proud of myself. I got a whole little studio going on up in here to share the information with the people. You guys, somebody asked for the journal prompt again, so I'll put that up there. I'm going to take that ticker down. Yes, I put it up. And I will put up. Oh, and I'm sorry for the people on TikTok, because while I'm on StreamYard and also on Substack, I'm sorry about that. I have to keep that in mind for next time. So for the people that are following me on Instagram and YouTube, I'm sharing some things on the screen. So I have shared the journal prompt, which is what practices help me feel safe, grounded, and back in my body. And then I also share an affirmation. I am reclaiming my power, my peace, and my trust in myself. So people are able to screenshot or write those things down. So I apologize. Maybe this is my first live on Substack. So when I save it, I'm going to see if I can, add a message in the note for that. So let me see. Hello. Yes. Come on in. Are there any questions? Any thoughts? Everybody is just so quiet. Why y'all so quiet? I am okay. I really am good. I'm good. Y'all know I'm a crybaby. In the beginning, I did get a little emotional. Um, but that is who I am. Like I do not, um, you know, shy away from who I am. I'm an emotional being, and sometimes the tears flow because I am able to feel so intently. And sometimes like for people who know me or who have worked with me, or even, there are some people, and I've shared this before, like that I have worked with, pro bono, provided services. Just because if I'm around someone, like I can see people, um, and feel their experiences. So sometimes I have, reached out to people and been like, hey, this was on my spirit. I need to share this with you. And typically it is about kind of where they are, or, if they're working on themselves and they're trying to figure something out, business related, um, spiritually, in some cases, I have been able to, kind of support people through that because, something comes to me. So, um, I haven't talked much about my spiritual gifts because I am still in the practice of really understanding them myself. And I think over the last probably 4 or 5 years, I have been still enough to experience them. My children know this for sure, and people who are like really close to me know, like they've kind of been with me through some of those experiences, so they're able to tap into that and get to see it firsthand. um so actually I think Tabitha Brown recently made a post, I don't know if it was yesterday or a couple days ago, where she talked about like we got to stop being afraid to share, that we have these abilities. And I'm not a psychic. I'm definitely not a psychic. But what I do know is that when I am with someone and I am connected to the person, whether it be friendship, relationship, or whatever it is, I am able to tap into some things that, they just kind of come to me, whether it be in a dream or whether it be just in conversation with the person. So, yeah. Ah, thank you. Thank you. Hmm. All right. No questions, y'all. I'm gone. Get ready to sign out of here in a little bit. I hope I was able to enlighten you on the experience. Um Share some things about if this has happened to you. I'm definitely open to, if somebody wants to have, a side conversation, or, send me a message appropriately in the DM. I'm definitely open to, having a conversation with someone or talking them through, if they had that experience, or referring them, or, providing some resources for them as well. I don't expect, that everybody's going to jump on and, be willing to share, if they had a similar experience or something happen. I do know for myself, I know several people that have been close to me that have experienced being drugged. Some of them did not come out of it. Some of them, still have, mental health issues to this day. And I think that, sometimes when that happens, people say that, drugs can exacerbate kind of some other things that we may have going on in our lives, and bring out, some symptoms of bipolar or schizophrenia and things of that nature. I am very blessed to say that I did not have any of those types of experiences, and I think it was because of how quickly I started to act, and keep myself together while the experience was happening. Um, and ultimately, I wish it on no one. It's a very scary, very uncomfortable, feeling. And yeah, I'm hoping that it does not. Let me see. I don't know if I can get to this. It's saying oh um oh, I'm just reading what the restriction was. So I'll just have to request that they review that and remove it. I'm going to end the live on Substack. Review draft on web first. Let's see. Okay, so I can review the dashboard on Substack. Let me see if there are any questions on Instagram. Hello, I am Teresa. How are you? Thanks for joining. So I don't want to just be on here if no one has any questions. I may come off of all of this and then tap into just Instagram and be live for more if people want to chat or someone wants to hop on with me. Like I said, I did have several people reach out to me today, either in my DM or through a personal text, sharing of similar experiences. So I know that I am not alone. So I'm sharing that with other people that are watching or hear this. You are not alone. This happens, I think, more than people know or realize. And we got to start saying something. I think that's what I want to leave people with is we have to speak up. I'm saying you get to choose on if name names or whatever. And again, for me, I think I said this earlier. I did not name names because I just feel like that just gives them more power. But if someone who I know wants to reach out to me because they think they had an experience with the same people that I had the experience with, I'm definitely open to have a conversation, not in the form of gossip or, things like that, but more in the form of, validating their experience. And it probably seemed similar to what happened to me. So with that said, the shift is happening now.